Hello, it's Erica of Herbal Arts, and it's time for Sunday demo. I'm still pulling some colors and also watching the birds in the living room window fly up to the nest. Heloise got exhausted just watching them. Plus, there was a insect encounter, which I will tell you about in a minute. I just want to do a couple quick more matching things. My base is that. Ooh, yeah, that's really bright. As we get closer to June, the sun starts to be more central in the room instead of against the back wall. This is some Targhee that I got from Melissa Yarn Barn. But I am looking to see if I'm going to use that. And I was going to check my supply of Firestar to see if there's a green that works, and no, there isn't. However, there might be. That might work. I could go more. Turquoise is going to definitely work. Okay, so, yeah, so I've got some bio nylon, got some cotton, got some Firestar, got bamboo in two colors. I got this one, it's called Sea Spray. It's sort of a softer blue with a bit of gray in it. And then this one is Crush, which is, I don't know how to describe that color. It's a green, but it's not really as bright as an emerald. I don't think you can see it as well on the screen, but yeah. So we're going to use those as well. If half bump will stand upright, it is sort of tilted. The Leaning Tower of Roving. Okay, and I'll just try and keep an eye on the screen to see if I have any of those tech problems. I haven't had them in about a week and a half, so hopefully I won't have any more. Yeah, so earlier, what is this? This is what I'm using right now. Okay, so this is Targhee from Melissa's Yarn Barn. I split the braid in half lengthwise. So I can make two of these. I always like to make twins when I can. So she was offering a decent price on this, and I thought, oh, I need some more Targhee that isn't white. I used a bunch of white Targhee to make those angel wing mats. I've been having fun watching all the people at Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is this weekend. It's very rainy out there. You know, Rhinebeck was rainy this past year too. What is this? Like the big festivals get all the rain? Though it did actually rain when I did Fiberfest in Des Moines. That's what the tornadoes that I was in the restaurant for. And actually during move out, it held off. They actually let me start packing up a little early. Thank you, Sherry, if you're watching this. Because I know I take an hour and a half to pack up. The storm was supposed to start at 5. We were supposed to end at 4. And I'm like, that's I'm not going to make it. And putting wet things in the van just was not appealing to me. So you can see there's greens, there's blues. And see if I can go back in. Oh no, that took care of itself. There was a little bump, but it just did what it got carted out. So anyways, because they have those absolutely wonderful volunteers there, their guild does, their guild members really show up and help out. And so, first they let me start packing up early, and so like I did the jewelry because that's the time-consuming bit. But you could still like buy other stuff in the booth. And then eventually, and several other vendors actually helped me get out and stuff like that. So I actually had, it was spitting a little bit, like a little bit of sprinkles. But it wasn't until I had returned the cart that I had borrowed, and was just going back, just me, because everything else was in the van. Then the skies opened up, and it was torrential. In fact, I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes waiting for it to get less torrential, because it's a very busy parking lot, and it's a former school, and the parking is really tight, right? And so, and I purposely had parked so that when I backed up, there would not be parked cars behind me, right? But there could be cars passing or kids running around. There was I think it was a madras, and like all their kids got out, and they were all like running through the rain. I was just like, I'm gonna wait until like it looks like there's no more kids running around, and they've all sort of gotten in the cars, and then the cars have driven away, and then I will go away. Okay, I think I just want to do like a little bit of this for contrast. I just think the depth looks nice, but I just don't want to make it dominant. Yeah, so rainy fiber festivals are a thing, right? And at one point, Molly of the Rosefield was trying to get me to apply to go to vend at Maryland. I'm just like, that is such a big festival. I don't know if I could deal with that. So this is the hand-dyed cotton. Really nice sort of staple stuff. And we're just going to use it like an oil, just to give a little bit of texture. There we go. I started following the actual Maryland Sheep and Wool page, and so they've got, they were showing bits from the Sheep to Salt. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to do that again. My apologies. Okay. So the next layer is just going to be a repeat of this layer. I'm so sorry. Someday I will remember to do that right away. Okay. So here is some Firestar. Here. So earlier today, Heloise was sort of running around, getting a little. She slept a lot, but then she had her zoomies. And I finally realized some probably wasn't zoomies. She probably had found a new toy, and that new toy, I sort of walked. My entryway is sort of like you walk in my door, and there's my sofa, so you have to sort of walk by my closet. And she was lying behind the sofa in that hallway area. And, there's a cup. Her favorite toys are like crumpled up candy wrappers, right? So there's, I got stuff on the floor. But I looked at it, and there's something about maybe a foot and a half away from her that I'm thinking, oh, that's a toy that she was playing with. And then I look at it, and she's essentially at a standoff with some sort of black and yellow flying insect. I don't know which kind it was. It wasn't the all black ones, obviously. But it was like, they were just like staring at each other. I actually don't know what the eyes on the insect were doing, because obviously they're too small to see, but she was just like down like this. And then eventually the paw went out. And the insect went up, and then she of course chased the insect around, and now I have no idea where the insect is. Usually what happens is when something manages to get inside, because I live in a very old building, and when it got, turned into apartments and stuff like that, there's some shoddy work. So I get drafts, and, any place that there's a draft, it's big enough for a bug to get through. I live next to the river, and there's green space behind me, all of this. So usually though, he's noisy today. Usually what happens is, I usually find, when I find these sort of wasps and various other things, I even have one of those fake hornet nests outside. It doesn't seem to do anything. I usually find it like on its last legs, like it's trapped in here and there's no food, right? So that usually, most often, I find them dead. Not because the cat got them, but just like there was nothing to eat, and so they pass away. So I don't know where this one is. I'm just looking. I always have my slippers on, so if I do step on something, it's not going to sting me. And if I just sort of look when I'm going to like sit down on the sofa just to make sure it's not like crawling across a cushion or something. I will say having the giant skylight is starting to get warm up here. I haven't turned on a couple weeks ago I had the ceiling fans on. I turned them off. I haven't turned them back on. It might be time to turn them back on. I have the one in the front room on. Plus I have a little personal fan. Some bio nylon. Oh, yeah, he's really... I think I need to do another cleaning. He's very squeaky today. So yesterday was fun. Yesterday I put way too much money on food, but I had a lot of fun. We went to the firefighters' breakfast. It's their big fundraiser. And their prices have gone up. They're now $10 an adult. I can remember back when it was $6. So that may have been before the pandemic. So they it's a volunteer fire department. They made a lot of money yesterday. I was in line for 15 minutes, and 10 before I paid, and then 5 before I got to the food. And yeah, it was good. I probably have to remember next time. Yeah, you get 2 pancakes unless you tell them otherwise, and they usually make little like those Mickey Mouse ones for the kids. And there were a lot of kids. I think in the past I've gone earlier. I went like at 9:30, and so there were a ton of kids. And I think in the past I've gone like, well, when I was a vendor at the farmers market, I would go they start at 6 a.m. So I would often go, like I would get to the farmers market as early as possible, set up, and then run over and get breakfast. So I was usually doing it like 7:30 or 8. I think one year I did go at 7. But yeah, they said this was the most tables they'd ever put out, and I ate with a gentleman who told me he was 99, and he very much could have been. He was a retired volunteer firefighter, and I could sort of tell because the firefighters who were sort of running the thing and sort of doing the cooking, they were very much sort of walking over and saying hi and making sure he had everything he needed, and they all knew who he was. So I didn't get to chat with him very much, but it was kind of fun. And he actually, at one point, he wanted to know if I wanted, I can't remember if it was the butter or it was the syrup. It was syrup. And so he had his cane, and he took his cane, and he like pushed the syrup towards me. I said, no, I'm fine. I got the sugar free up at the front before I sat down. And so then he used the hook on his cane to grab the syrup and pull it back to him. For those of you joining me, this is Targi, hand-dyed by Melissa Jarnbarn. So after that, I went over to, so the fire station is like right next to the, it's like right along the river. It's the same river I live on, just sort of across the river. And I live north of the river, fire station south of the river. And they actually, what they do is they pull all the engines out so the kids can go. I think they have one person out there talking about the engines in case the kids want to know about the fire trucks. And they also have a little fire Firefighters Museum. It's got this sort of Dalmatian statue in the window. So that was open. And then once you walk past them, there's a building that we used to be on the short line from, I don't know if it's a Rock Island Junction. I can't remember exactly what the line was. But we used to be a train stop. And before, just south of the bridge over the river, was the old passenger depot, which is now an ice cream. For a long time, it was a laundromat. Then that caught fire, and now it's a Four Queens ice cream. And then there's the museum, and then there's the fire station with parking, of course, on either side. And then beyond that is a little building that was the depot for the freight trains. And in fact, there's the remains of the old scales and various things like that, which has been now restored and renovated. And then the park that starts right beyond that, which incorporates a walking trail, they've set up specifically so that the farmers market can use it. So you sort of drive in and around, which they close off during the thing. And then they have inlaid in the cement, they have these railroad tracks with information on the history of the line, with a little sort of sunken garden over here. And then this pavilion that is absolutely great because it was raining on and off yesterday. And so almost all the farmers market people were set up under the pavilion. It's concrete, so you're not standing in the mud. And it's got really wide eaves so that they don't get wet. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, it was quite nice. So, and since I used to be a vendor there, I know some of the people. It was great. One of the people there was one of my former. I have a couple of former students who vend. The one is there as a supervisor because his daughter, who she might be 10, I'm not sure, she makes pretzels. And so I haven't been to the market in a long time. And this was the opening day for this year, but. So I bought one of the soft pretzels from her, and a couple of the people who also sell things at Downtown Dreamers Mercantile, where I have my yarn and my clothes and all that, sell at the farmer's market. I don't do farmer's market anymore. I've had just too much bad experience with outside things. Plus, it's on Saturday mornings, and Saturday mornings is often when I have a show, right? Or I'm someplace else. So I decided it wasn't really worth it. And the Saturdays that I don't have shows, I'd like to sleep in. So, yeah. But I got to see a couple people. Like I said, there's another former student of mine there. Her family owns like a greenhouse, and so she was selling plant starts. And then one of the people I used to buy eggs and other things from were there. And he had asparagus, so I bought asparagus. Probably eat it tomorrow. Probably in an omelet. We will see. Actually, it's a pretty big amount, so I'll probably get a couple meals out of it. And then I turned around and walked past the firefighters again, and their museum, and the ice cream place, and then I crossed the main road through town, and there's another park, because it's along the river, right? And so my town has figured out the river floods sometimes. So let's just build parks along there, so if the water comes over the banks, nothing really gets damaged, right? And so, that's the park that, called Coleman Park. I think the other one's called Riverside Park to the south. But, the walkway winds along, and there's, little shelters with, no sides, but picnic tables and grills, and then there's a kids' play area, and during the summer there's bathrooms that unlock. there's some public art. And then there's the band shelf. And so that's the park that gets used for things like Oktoberfest and Art Walk, which is what is yesterday. And some of you may recall I was a vendor, supposed to be a vendor last year at Art Walk. But while we were setting up, it started pouring rain and like at an angle, and everything got wet and muddy and damp, and I couldn't sell stuff, so I just pulled out. And just finally said, that's it. No more in-person or no more outdoor shows. But I went down, to watch people setting up. They actually, because they knew the weather was going to be bad, they delayed the opening by an hour. And I knew a couple of the vendors, and so I, stopped and chatted, but I was really scoping out the food trucks. Because they didn't list on the Facebook page who was coming for the food. And they usually get some good food trucks. I was kind of hoping, there's a Hawaiian barbecue place in Sioux Falls. I was hoping they would come, and they didn't. But they actually had... They had the Janesville, which is the next little town. I live in Iowa. There are no towns. Everything is technically a city, but it's a town. A little town in our county just south of us called Janesville. And they have a locker. Okay. So a locker is a very Midwestern thing. It's a place where essentially it's a butcher's, but it's the full thing. Like you bring your animals in, they butcher them, and then prep them. It's a great place where people bring their deer when they go hunting. I guess they also do goat, from what I read on the webpage. And so they were there, and they had some of their things, and they had a ribeye sandwich that was so good. In fact, it's so good that on Monday when they open, I'm going to call them and see if it's something they actually sell or if it's something like they just sort of had, but it may not be for sale. Because they didn't list it on their website where they listed like the hot dogs, and which other people were saying were really good. I don't eat hot dogs, so I'm not sure. And I wasn't willing to try them because I had other things I wanted to eat. So I had the ribeye, that was sort of my lunch, but then I went next door to a Brazilian barbecue, who I've eaten from a number of times. And they do, they do a bunch of other things. They also do the hot fried donuts, which I don't do because I don't need to eat that. But they do like what they call a traditional Brazilian with the rice, and then they have, it's not really a pico de gallo, but it's similar, but it's like a cucumber, tomato, onion in a vinaigrette sort of salad thing, and then they put beans and meat and sort of other things, and they also make a keto, what they call their keto bowl, which is sort of that, but without the rice, and they just put some lettuce in, and I really like that. And so what I did was I got that, and I had my little cooler with me, little one I carry like a purse, and I brought some Pyrex containers, and I just paid for it immediately. I got the large, turned around, sat at the picnic table, and then just poured it into the containers because it gives me 2 different meals. And so then, because there was more, they had the rolled ice cream truck. So essentially, your ice cream comes in a bowl, and you get these little round, spirals. Okay? And I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't normally do a lot of ice cream. But they had vegan options. They even had vegan whipped cream. And so I said, a little. So I had mint chocolate cookies, I think is what the flavor was called. And it was quite good. It doesn't melt quite the same way. I think it was a cashew and another nut was the basis for the ice cream. This may be the last layer. We still got a little bit left, but this is feeling really full. So that was good. And then I walked around and chatted with people I knew, and I remember this from the past that one of the things about Art Walk is, because Waverly has 10,000, 12,000 people, so it's not that big. There's lots of people with their strollers, so it makes it a little hard to get around because everybody's clumped together. And then they run into another mom they know that has a stroller and all the kids running around. And there's this big clog on the walkway, right? But I ran into some people I knew and got to chat with. My kitty sitter was running the Friends of the Library. They have a bookmobile. And so they essentially moved all of the books that are sort of donated that the library, they already got 3 copies of this. They don't need another copy. So it goes in the Friends of the Library, and then the Friends of the Library sells it and makes money for the library. And because they're doing construction on the library, that has been closed. I actually think they're storing all the books in the bookmobile right now. But it's it's like a bus, right? And so they were there selling stuff. So I got to chat with my cat sitter. Which was a lot of fun. And so a few other people I hadn't seen in a while, so that was good. And then I came home and I had part of that keto bowl for dinner. Oops. Bamboo jumping. And then I had the rest for lunch today. And the one I had for lunch today, actually, I also went to the grocery store yesterday. And they had avocados marked down because they weren't mushy, but I was like, you feel some of them and you're just like, ooh, yeah, okay. It feels like there's a void under there. And what are they doing? So I found 2 that looked decent, or sort of decent. A couple other people had put them down because we're all looking around this thing. So they were 67 cents. Sorry, squeaky. And yeah, so I got opened up the avocado. It was a beautiful avocado. And scooped it out, mixed it with a little salt and some lime juice so it wouldn't get brown. And then I mixed it in my pork and beans and whatever the not pico de gallo was, the salad stuff and the lettuce. And it was quite yummy. Okay. So definitely need to... Sorry, squeak. Okay, then we'll put a little more fire start on, and then we will be done. So give me name suggestions. Please prompt them in the comments. You can also guess the weight. That is to go someplace else. Let's put that there. See if that'll stay. Okay. Time to put everything away. So I got a little bit of this left. I'll save it for the next one. Just leave everything else out so that I can use it for the next batch. Okay. Time to break the bat. I haven't made it to the dye lab. I keep... I did get a couple more commissions. I need to check, though. I can't remember which ones got dyed up and which ones didn't, so... I need to take... And they actually sent me their measurements. So I need to check those against the sizes and hope that I have an undyed one. So one of the Judy tunics. Okay, time to take it off. So guess if you have a guess on the weight. So the other things I have coming up on Saturday, let me do a quick look on here. I use a lot of sort of C names, so I'm not sure if I want to go that way again. But let me grab the scale. We can at least weigh it up. So yeah, Friday I leave for the Fiber Festival of Perry. That's just northwest of Des Moines, Iowa. It's a small one, but a lot of people have been saying they're going to go. So, sometimes small is not bad. Okay, time to find a piece of paper. So this is 2.64 ounces. So it's heavier than I thought it was going to be for only being half that braid. Though sometimes the bamboo is got some weight to it. So, yeah, so I will roll this up and take some photos. Okay. I may not be able to take photos because the sun is like right where I may have to do them tomorrow because the sun will give me a really bad photo because it's like direct sunlight. Yeah, so I leave for on Friday midday. They're letting us set up Friday evening, afternoon into evening, and then there's sort of an event. Still not sure where I'm staying. I do have some friends in the area. I'm going to see maybe if they can put me up or let me sleep in the van in their driveway. And I'm not going to stay at the hotel because the hotel, like the cheapest room is $175. It's at a very nice hotel, but that's not in the budget right now. That's like a show fee for something. Okay, I'm getting warm again. Then the following weekend, I'll be leaving very, very early, like 3 a.m. maybe, on that Friday, is that 17th, to drive out to Crown Point, Indiana. And then we set up Friday afternoon, and the Ileana Fiber Festival is Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be staying with another vendor. We're sharing a room. And then I'll probably start to drive back on Sunday night, and then finish the drive on. I'm not driving all the way back on Sunday night. Just probably a little bit. And then I'll come back on Monday. Following weekend after that is Waffle Weekend, and they just released the schedule for us. I am on the Friday, finally. I was stuck in those Sundays. Normally they rotate us, but because I had conflicts, I kept having the Sunday. So I will be on Friday. I think I'm mid-afternoon, like 4-ish or so. I'll have to double check that. And that would probably be Central Time. And then the week after that, I will get up very, very early on it's May, so maybe the 30th. I'll get up really, really like 3 o'clock again. And I will drive back to Indiana. And I'm going to drive further into Indiana. And I will set up for the Hoosier Hills Fiber Festival. And that is Friday and Saturday. I just stay with a friend there down in Bloomington, so it is still a bit of a drive, but it's a free place to stay. So even with gas at the prices that it is. So and that's sort of like the big stuff coming up. And then if you are in Iowa, do take a look at the Judy and Eileen retreat on June 22nd. I'll be a vendor there. The Yarn Adventure truck will be there. Couple of other yarn people. I can't remember who. Obviously, Judy and Eileen will be there as well. So, Yeah, let me know if you want more information about that. I can send you a link. Okay? So otherwise, I will post some photos of these later. Wish you a very pleasant day. Take care, and Annette, if you're still watching, stay warm.